There is something quietly powerful about a girl who loves traveling by train. Not because she has nowhere else to go, not because she is escaping something dramatic or broken, but because when the train starts moving, something inside her finally feels still. And you might think it's just about the scenery, the windows, the fields passing by like blurred memories, the rhythm of the tracks, the soft chaos of strangers sitting together without ever becoming part of each other's lives. But it's deeper than that, much deeper, because for her, the train is not just transport. It is a feeling, a pause between two versions of life. And here's the strange part. She might not even be able to explain why she loves it so much. If you ask her, she'll say simple things. I like the view. I feel calm. I think better on trains. But that's not the full truth. The full truth is hidden underneath all of that. And if you've ever been someone who loves train journeys, or even just felt something shift inside you when a train starts moving, then what you're about to hear might feel uncomfortably familiar. Because there is a psychology behind this attraction, a pattern, a quiet emotional language that most people never notice in themselves. And once you understand it, you may never look at train windows the same way again. But before we go there, imagine her, not a fictional character, not someone dramatic, just a normal girl. She could be a student, or someone working a routine job, or someone tired of routine altogether. Her life is not extraordinary, but her inner world is. She books a train ticket not because she has to travel urgently, but because she wants to feel something she can't find anywhere else. The moment she enters the station, something changes in her energy. The noise becomes different, not louder, just more alive. Announcements echo like fragments of unfinished thoughts. People rushing feel like they are part of a story she is not in, but somehow observing closely. And then she finds her seat. Window side, if she is lucky. Always window side. And she waits, not impatiently, but expectantly, as if something important is about to happen, even though nothing has happened yet. And then, the train moves. That first gentle jerk, that slow surrender of stillness. And something inside her exhales. Not physically, emotionally. Like a part of her that was holding its breath for days finally realizes it is safe to let go. And this is where most people misunderstand her. They think she loves movement. But she doesn't. She loves transition. Because transition is the only place where she doesn't have to be fully defined. Not a student. Not a worker. Not a daughter carrying expectations. Not a version of herself being judged. In a train, she becomes something softer. Something undefined. Something allowed to just exist. And now you might be wondering, why does this matter so much to her? Why does a simple journey feel like emotional freedom? There is a psychological reason for this. But it is not the kind you read in textbooks. It is something more human, more hidden. We'll come to it soon. But first, stay with her journey a little longer. Because something important happens inside her during those hours. She begins to observe, not just outside, but inside herself. The fields passing by don't just stay outside the window. They start entering her thoughts. A village she sees for 2 seconds suddenly becomes a memory she never lived. A group of children waving from a distance feels strangely personal. A river flashing under a bridge feels like it's trying to tell her something she almost understands. And in that state, her mind stops being linear. It becomes emotional, fluid, free. This is where overthinking people often feel something unexpected. Silence inside their head. Not empty silence, but organized silence. The kind that doesn't pressure them to solve anything, just to feel everything. And for a girl who usually carries emotional noise inside her daily life, that silence feels like home. But here is where things become interesting. Because not every train journey feels the same. Sometimes she travels when she is happy. Sometimes when she is confused. Sometimes when she is silently breaking inside but cannot name it. And the train holds all versions of her equally. No judgment. No expectation. No correction. Just presence. And slowly, without realizing it, she starts associating trains with emotional safety. But why? Why does the brain attach comfort to something so specific? Let's understand it simply. The human mind is constantly looking for patterns that feel predictable. Life outside is full of uncertainty. People change their tone. Situations shift without warning. Emotions get triggered without explanation. But a train? A train is structured chaos. It moves, but in a known direction. It changes scenery, but not unpredictably in a threatening way. It carries strangers, but no one demands emotional performance from you. You don't have to prove anything on a train. You just exist. And that non-demanding environment is rare. So the brain labels it as safe. But for her, it becomes more than safe. It becomes emotional permission. Permission to feel without explaining. Permission to think without solving. Permission to be without becoming. And now, let's pause here for a moment. Because if you've ever felt exhausted by your own life, if you've ever wanted a place where you don't have to be someone all the time, you might already understand her more than you realize. Now here's where her story deepens. She is sitting by the window. It is late afternoon. Sunlight is breaking through clouds in uneven patterns. Her reflection appears on the glass. Sometimes she looks at it. Sometimes she avoids it. Because the window shows two worlds at once. Outside world moving. Inside world still. And at some point during the journey, she stops scrolling her phone, stops trying to distract herself, and simply watches. Not because she is bored, but because something inside her is finally interested in itself. This is rare. Most people don't notice when they stop being present, but she does. And in that moment, she starts thinking things she usually avoids. Not painful thoughts, just honest ones. Where am I going in life? Why do I feel stuck even when I am moving? Why do I feel lighter when I am alone than when I am surrounded? And this is where emotional insight begins to form. Because she realizes something subtle. She doesn't love trains because they take her away from life. She loves them because they bring her back to herself. But there is a twist in this realization. Because what she calls herself in those moments is not the same version she lives as every day. On trains, she is softer, more patient, more reflective, less defensive, more honest. And now the question quietly appears in her mind. Which version is real? The one who survives daily life, or the one who breathes during movement? This question does not have an immediate answer, and that is what makes it powerful. Because sometimes psychology is not about answers. It is about recognition. And slowly, she begins to notice patterns. Whenever her life feels overwhelming, she unconsciously wants movement. Whenever emotions feel trapped, she wants distance. Whenever she feels too defined by her responsibilities, she wants undefined space. And the train becomes her symbol for that space. But here is something even deeper. Not all girls who love train travel are escaping. Some are integrating. They are not running away from life. They are trying to reconnect fragmented parts of themselves. The part that is responsible. The part that is emotional. The part that is curious. The part that is tired. All of them sit together quietly in the rhythm of moving wheels. Now imagine this. A small real-life moment. A girl sitting opposite her. Maybe a stranger. She is eating quietly, looking out occasionally. No conversation happens, but there is understanding in silence. No need for social performance. No pressure to impress. Just two humans sharing space without interference. And strangely, that feels intimate in a non-personal way. This is something modern life rarely allows. We are either alone with pressure or with people under expectation. But trains create a third space. A space where connection exists without obligation. And that is emotionally healing in ways most people cannot articulate. Now here comes a subtle shift in her journey. As the train moves further, night begins to fall. Lights outside become scattered stars. Inside, the compartment grows quieter. And her thoughts become slower. Not weaker, just deeper. And in that depth, a realization starts forming. She is not just traveling through geography. She is traveling through versions of herself. The girl who boarded the train is not the same girl who will step out. Something inside her always adjusts, even if nothing outside changes dramatically. And this is where the twist appears. Because she starts noticing something uncomfortable. She doesn't just love train journeys. She sometimes relies on them emotionally. As a reset, as a pause button, as a way to temporarily return to herself. And now a quiet question arises. What happens when the train stops? What happens when movement ends? This is where emotional truth becomes unavoidable. Because no external journey can permanently hold what only internal understanding can sustain. The train gives her clarity. But clarity alone is not transformation. Clarity is only the beginning. And now, slowly, gently, the journey reaches its final emotional phase. She is nearing her destination. The slowing of the train feels different. Not just physically, emotionally. Because arrival always carries a subtle sadness. Not because she doesn't want to reach, but because reaching means leaving the in-between space. The space where she felt most herself. And as the train finally stops, she hesitates for a moment before standing up. Not dramatically, just quietly, like someone leaving a place they didn't know they were emotionally attached to. And when she steps out, the world is the same, but she is not. Or at least, a part of her is slightly reorganized. Now let's bring everything together in a gentle final understanding. The psychology of a girl who loves traveling in trains is not about travel. It is about emotional regulation. It is about safe transition spaces. It is about identity loosening without identity loss. It is about giving the mind permission to breathe without structure. And most importantly, it is about finding moments where life does not demand performance. Because in modern life, most people are constantly becoming better, becoming successful, becoming acceptable. But in a train, you are temporarily not becoming anything. You are just moving. And in that movement, you are allowed to exist without definition. And maybe that is why she loves it. Not because she is running away from life, but because in those moving hours, she remembers how it feels to be inside it. Fully, quietly, honestly. And when she returns to her routine world, something small stays with her. A softness, a pause, a reminder that she is not just the role she plays. She is also the spaces in between. And sometimes, those spaces are where she truly meets herself. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next one.